Sports and Stuff, bringing you some betting tips and some MLB reactions. You know what to do, the video thing. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sports and Stuff. Your host, Vince, with my co-host, Ryan. Eric behind the scenes, giving you some sports betting tips. So we're going to give more in-depth analysis, as I mentioned in my previous video previewing this episode. Last time in our podcasting episode, we kind of gave a generality of what we wanted to talk about with sports bets. But tonight, parlays, spreads, money lines. First of all, we can kind of define those terms for the betting public, for those who might not know what that is. So, Ryan, you want to give a quick rundown on what some of those different terms are for people who are just getting into the betting, sports betting specifically?
Well, I guess money lines are pretty basic. You're just kind of picking who you think's going to win the game. When you're looking at, I guess, whatever betting site you're on, the minus will show you who's going to be the favorite, while the plus shows you the underdog. Basically, for the minus, you would have to put up that number in order to win $100. And then if you're going to go with the plus, if you put up $100, you would get whatever the number is for the plus.
So essentially you're winning, like if you bet $10 is plus 100, you're going to win 20. Double your money. So it just depends. Yeah. So spreads. So say a team is favored by, say it's minus 1.5. So that means any given team. So we're in baseball season right now. So
in baseball, they call it the run line, but you can also just call it the spread.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to add that in.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Spread is just a general term across any different sporting event, meaning if a team is minus X amount of runs or X amount of points or whatever sport you're in, that means they have to win by at least that or more. So say the Orioles are minus 1.5 against the Nationals, which they've been as of recent in this series. That means they have to win by 2 runs if you pick them on the spread. Versus if you were to pick them on the money line, all they have to do is win. So even if they only won by a run, your strategy changes. Money line, you look at it and you say, I think the Orioles are going to win outright. Where you're going to win less money if you bet the same amount, because it's more likely that they're going to win by whatever amount versus winning by X amount of runs. So spreads typically are a little bit more challenging, and that goes across any sport. But what I've learned recently, and Ryan gave me good advice, is betting run lines in baseball, very unpredictable and hard to do because a lot of these games, there's 162 games in a season. We're in the month of April, so we're in the first month. A lot of these teams are playing a lot closer. There's more upsets. And I picked the Orioles to beat the Nationals by 2 runs, minus 1.5, and they ended up winning 1-0. So a fluke game. The Orioles have been playing great offense. For their struggling Dean Kramer to come out and pitch a 6.2 inning shutout. Didn't expect that. But they still won. So if I would have bet the money line, I would have won money. But I didn't. So go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I guess I'm going to move over into over-under bets.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So I guess when you're looking at over-under in sports betting, basically the sports book is going to set a line where they believe is fair. I guess they kind of base it off of previous games, the history between the teams. And you're basically just betting on if the game's going to go over that amount of points or under. And that's like both teams' points, not just one team or the other. So you are taking the total of everything.
Yeah, and then you get into the individual prop bets based off of the over-under. So a prop bet is essentially either an individual or a certain amount of time that a certain amount of runs or a certain amount of points are scored or a certain amount of yards.
Many prop bets.
Yeah, there's so many different prop bets, but the transition I was trying to make was with the over-under. Ryan mentioned this in the previous video, but typically over-unders for the first inning and a run scored in a baseball game. You typically, if it's going to be a certain amount, there needs to be over-under more than 1 run score. Well, the way the offense have been playing, especially with these rule changes, you typically want to go the over on the first inning because people are aggressive and people usually start out high scoring, and then pitchers settle in. And so as it gets further into the game, typically scores start to go down. But that first inning especially, so like that's a prop bet. Over under 1 run first inning. That's just an example. But what else on the over under? Did you have anything else to add to that?
I mean, really, that's all you need to know for the over under.
Yeah. For props. So just kind of going further into that. One of my favorite things to do when it's NFL season, I love individual player prop bets. So say Matt Stafford over under 207 yards passing in a game. That's always fun. And typically with someone like Matt Stafford, who's known for throwing a lot of passes, you wouldn't bet the over because he throws the ball 45 to 50 times a game, and he's a great quarterback. That's just an example. Or say a running back gets this many yards.
J.K. Dobbins over 60 yards.
Yeah. So typically prop bets in football with yards or touchdowns, a lot of it's over under X amount. But it's still fun to kind of say, all right, 1.5 touchdowns. I think this quarterback can throw for 2 touchdowns. I'm going to bet the over. Or I don't think they're going to be that great and bet the under. And then recently I had success with over-unders in basketball. And then some of the individual prop bets on certain players, I would stay away from. That's a key advice for college. Because a lot of these colleges, you focus on the teams, but there's not a lot of there's a few individual players that really stand out, but they don't pad the stat sheet nearly as much as like an NBA or MLB. You have a lot of these, like any professional sporting event, like the top 4, NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL. Those are where you want to hit a lot of the individual player prop bets. In terms of some of the college sports, you really want to look at teams. You're doing over under and scores, taking money line. And I would say specifically with spreads, if you really want to get into spreads, you got to know trends for the team, how they've been playing. You got to know also the matchup of the individual team. And you got to know just how they've been faring statistically, like say the past week. So, all right. Did you have anything else to add to that, Ryan?
I guess, I mean, I feel like you covered a good amount for prop bets. It's basically just something you want to throw a couple dollars at, maybe parlay a bunch of them together and throw a couple dollars at. You don't want to get too into it as you want to with the money lines, over unders, and spreads.
Do we have any other betting tips for the public?
I guess a quick one for the over-under in baseball. A good thing to watch is the weather. I mean, you definitely want to check out the pitching and hitting matchups. You want to make sure that one team is pretty good at hitting if you're going to try and take the over. But a good reason to look at the weather is because on hot days, I mean, the air is less dense, so the ball's going to travel a lot further. As I guess when it's cold out, the ball travels a lot less than it normally would, I guess, due to the friction from the air density. But I really think it's a good thing to look at that plus the wind, because if the wind is moving out away from home plate, the ball's going to be sailing all night.
Yep. And that goes for any outdoor sporting event, pretty much. Weather is a huge factor. Think of the NFL, think about passes, field goal attempts, punts, a lot of with wind and all the different elements that go into it. That's a huge factor. High, low scoring of a game. Typically bad weather, you're going to bet an under. Even if the under is low, you're still going to bet the under because weather is so unpredictable. Yeah, I think unless Ryan, you had any other tips?
I guess we could do them in another video.
Okay. All right.
Trying to not overwhelm them for now.
Yeah, there's definitely more. I mean, sports betting, we're just trying to get you all to kind of get a grasp of what it's like. So yeah, stay tuned for the next video. We're going to give you more tips. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us and give us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify podcasts. We have a Patreon account. Definitely donate to that. Help us grow this channel. We've only been doing this for a couple months, so provide some feedback in the comments below. And if there's any other specific betting tips that might come to your mind, comment that as well. We definitely would love to hear from you all. So
Let us in on it.
yeah, exactly. We're even though we've been doing this for a little bit of time, by no means are we professional sports bettors, but we definitely have experience doing this. So we'd love to hear from you guys. All right. Until next time. Peace.